it's kind of wild to think about as we were prepping the project. You've got journalists for the New Yorker and you've got journalists for the New York Times writing these stories that are about to change everything. And really, once we started shooting and once we started editing, the work of those journalists, our fire in the editing room started to burn even hotter, and we were just, we were excited to be able to tell the story at this time. So I can tell you the exact date. It was December 22nd, 2016, and I was scrolling through Facebook and I see this Huffington Post headline that says, "Lorena Bobbitt is done being your punchline." And underneath that it said something to the effect of how, I guess at the time, approximately 23 years ago, we as a society had missed an opportunity to have a national conversation about domestic violence, and instead it descended into a series of dick jokes. And it's written by this really terrific journalist named Melissa Jeltsin. And so I just went down the rabbit hole for a couple days, and I'm reading about how Lorena's story coincided with the birth of the 24-hour news cycle, and it was just so clear that you know, this was ripe for you know, this sort of desperately needed you know, recontextualizing.
Like Joshua said, it was very important to send the message now, especially with the new generation, the millennials. I'm a mother of a daughter, so as well I wanted to, eventually she's gonna grow into a woman, and I want her to feel that there are laws that protect women. And these issues are very critical, especially sexual assault and domestic violence and marital rape. Like a statistic said, between the ages of 18 and 24, a women in college, they get raped. And many of those issues are not, they're suffering in silence and they're not reported. So to me, that was very important.
We got in contact, and Lorena very graciously and generously agreed to let me do this and essentially hand me her life, you know? And that was 10 months before Me Too, you know, really hit. I mean, it was crazy to look back at that archival footage and see that that people thought that that the moment a woman said "I do" to a man, that he was in essence her property, and if he wanted to have sex and she didn't, and he did anyway, by law in a number of states, they said that that was not rape, and that's obviously insane. And I mean, 25 years is a long time, but it's also not a long time. And so I think, I mean, there's hundreds and hundreds of hours of archival, so combing through it, whether it's that specific thing or, you know, what a million other things, you're just, every day in that editing room, our jaws were on the floor.
I can say many things about Howard Stern. He basically is a person who didn't know the facts about it, and unfortunately, he's a public figure, and he missed a big window of the opportunity that he could talk about domestic violence and sexual assault. But instead, he again decided to go and, you know, make friends with my ex-husband and the abuser, basically.
I mean, just from a very black and white, nuts and bolts, moralistic standpoint, if you watch Lorena's trial and you see her as a 23, 24-year-old kid on the stand testifying, literally having a panic attack, describing constant rapes, constant beatings, I mean, in graphic, horrifying details. And then Howard Stern's response to that was to, on his show with millions of listeners, say, I don't really believe her, and then to attack her physical appearance. I don't know what kind of a human being does something like that. I mean, that's beyond fucked up. And, you know, he owes her a public apology without question. And if he doesn't think he does, then he's sicker than the person who said that 25 years ago.
A lot of things have to change, and I have been, you know, working through Lorena Gallo's Foundation as an advocate, and as an activist as well, because this is a vehicle, this is a perfect platform to reach out to more victims of domestic violence and people who are victimized still right now. And if I could save one life, then my mission is accomplished.